Hi guys, here's your lesson on circles. There's only one lesson on circles. So your official definition of a circle is the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a given point in a plane. So let me go ahead and draw a visual representation for this. So here's my coordinates, x, y. I'm going to go ahead and put my given point at the origin, and I want to find the set of all points that have the same distance from this point. So let's say I want to use this distance. Okay, so the distance between these 2 points, I want to find all the points that have this distance between them, centered around the center. And if I do that, that's going to create a circle. So this distance is called the radius. Okay, so the set of all points equidistant from a given point in a plane is called a circle. Now, your standard form equation for the circle is this right here. There are two important pieces of information that you need to know to be able to write the equation of a circle. So there's only two aspects of this equation. We have our center, which is hk, very similar to your vertex, which is also hk, and you have your radius. So as long as you know your center and your radius, you can write the equation in standard form. So let's go ahead and jump to the example. My center is 4, 1, radius is 3. So right off the bat, I have hk and r. Well, since I know hk and r, I can just plug it in here. So I have x minus h, quantity squared, plus y minus k, quantity squared, equals r squared. Well, we know what 3 squared is, so I'm actually going to write it out as equals 9. So there's the equation for the circle that has a center at -4, 1 with a radius of 3. All right, for the second one, we have our center. So we have hk, and it passes through a point, -3, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle. All right, so here's my circle. In the center of my circle is -6, 2. And then it passes through the point -3, 0, so that means somewhere on this circle is -3, 0. I'm going to just say it's down there. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but we'll just pretend. So what we're missing is the radius. So we're missing this over here. We're missing the radius. Well, how can I find the distance between these 2 points? Well, you can use the distance formula, and that's going to give you the radius. So my distance is going to be the square root of x2 minus x1, so I'm going to use -3 minus -6, quantity squared, plus y2 minus y1, and that gives me the square root of -3 plus 6 is 3 squared, which is 9, plus 2 squared is 4. So that means my distance is the square root of 13, which I'm going to go ahead and leave as a radical. So that means my radius is the square root of 13. So I have my hk and I have my r. I can go ahead and write my equation. So I have my hk and r, so I have x minus h, quantity squared, plus y minus k, quantity squared, equals r squared. So I'm just going to square my square root anyway, so that gives me x plus 6, quantity squared, plus y minus 2, quantity squared, equals 13. And that is my equation in standard form for my circle. So once again, the important pieces that you need for your circle are your center and your radius. So let's try the next one. For this one, I'm giving the endpoints of my diameter. So again, I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing a picture. So here's our circle. This one also has the endpoints of the diameter, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle. So I'm just going to draw a diameter. So I have 2 points. My endpoints of this diameter, we have 2, 8 and 2, -2. Well, again, the two pieces of information that you need to be able to write the equation for a circle is you need to know my center, So we need to know the center, and we also need to know the radius. So first things first, I would recommend finding the center. Well, how can you find the center? Well, if you have the endpoints of your diameter, your center is right in the middle of that. So to be able to find the midpoint of these 2 points, that's going to give us the center. So everything is interconnected. So the stuff that we did for 8-1 with distance and midpoint is something that you're going to be dealing with circles. So for my midpoint, I'm going to go ahead and add my x's, divide by 2, add my y's, divide by 2, and so my center is at 2, and then 8 minus 2 is 6 over 2, so your center is going to be at 2, 3. Now the other piece of information that we're missing is the radius. So the radius, once again, you can use the distance. So I'm actually going to use the distance formula with my center and one of the endpoints of your diameter, which I recommend doing instead of using the 2 endpoints of your diameter, because you're going to have to divide that by 2, and it gets a little tricky, especially if we end up with radicals. So I would recommend doing the center and one of the endpoints. So I have my x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 squared. That just gives me 0 plus 25. So that's going to be 5, which ends up being my radius. So my center is at 2, 3, radius is at 5, so I can write my equation, because here's my h and my k. So I have x minus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 3 quantity squared equals r squared. Well, r is 5, so r squared is going to be 25. And doing the same thing over here. So endpoints of your diameter, I'm going to say this is negative 4, 5, 6, negative 3. I need to start by finding my center. So my center is going to be at the midpoint of my endpoints of my diameter. So I have negative 4 plus 6 divided by 2. 5 minus 3 divided by 2. So negative 4 plus 6 is 2 over 2, which is 1. 5 minus 3 is 2 over 2, which is 1. So my center for this is going to be at 1, 1. And again, to be able to find your radius, I'm going to go ahead and use my center and one of the endpoints of my diameter. And I want to find the distance, so I'm going to calculate the distance between that, and that's going to give me the radius. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. That gives me 5 squared, which is 25, plus negative 4 squared, which is 16. 25 plus 16 is 41. So my radius is going to be the square root of 41. So I have my, oh, I don't know why I wrote that twice. I meant to write r. Alright, so I have my center, which is hk. I have my r. I can go ahead and write the equation. So I have x minus 1 quantity squared plus y minus 1 quantity squared equals r squared, but when I square a square root, it cancels, so that's going to equal 41. And there's your equation in standard form. Alright, so again, key points. To be able to write the equation, you need 2 pieces of information. You need your center, your hk, and you need r. Okay. So for these, we're given the center, and we're also given information that it's tangent to the y-axis or tangent to a line. So for this one, it's important that you draw a picture and you actually draw it accurately. So I'm going to go ahead and actually plot 3, 5. So here's my center. Tangent to the y-axis means your circle touches the y-axis. So here's your y-axis, here's your x, there's your y. So my circle is going to touch the y-axis. So the circle is doing something like this, and it keeps going around and around. So what I need to find is I need to find this distance over here. and that's going to be my radius. Well, how far away is 3, 5 from the y-axis? It's 3 units away, so my radius is going to be 3. So I have my h and my k, I have my r, I can write the equation. So I have x minus h, quantity squared, plus y minus k, quantity squared, equals r squared. R in this case is 3, so 3 squared is 9. This one works in a very similar manner. I'm going to go ahead and draw an accurate representation of my center. So -3, 2. Okay, so there's my center. It's tangent to the line y equals 1. Well, y equals 1 is going to be a horizontal line. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a horizontal line through 1 on my y-axis. So tangent to this line means my circle touches, so it's an itty-bitty circle, my circle touches that line. Okay, tangent means next to, so it's next to that line. So I need to find out this distance to be able to know what r is. Well, your center, -3, 2, is 1 unit away from the line y equals 1, so your radius is 1. So here's your h, k, radius, you can write the equation. So x minus -3, quantity squared, plus y minus 2, quantity squared, equals r squared, so that's going to equal 1. All right, so I think that takes care of all of the equation writing part. So we have our center and our radius, and that's what you need to write the equation. All right, next up, changing the equation into standard form. So changing your equation into standard form is kind of similar to what we did with parabolas, except now we have both an x squared and a y squared. So again, standard form for your circle looks like this. Okay, so our goal is to manipulate these equations so that it looks like this. And the way that you do that is by completing the square. So I'm going to go ahead and rearrange my terms. So my x's are together, and my y's are together. And I'm also going to move this constant to the other side. So when I move it to the other side, you're adding, so that's why it becomes a positive 11. Now since we have to complete the square, we're going to have to insert some blanks. Now with this, since we're adding blanks on this side, we're also going to have to add 2 blanks on this side. And I'm putting them on top of each other because I know I'm going to run out of space over here. Separate A and B. Okay, so looking at my x's, I'm taking half of 2 and squaring it, and that's 1. Looking at my y's, I'm taking half of 4 and squaring it, so that's 4. I put these terms in parentheses because those are the quadratics that I need to factor so that it looks like this. So x squared plus 2x plus 1 factors to x plus 1 quantity squared. Y squared plus 4y plus 4 factors to y plus 2 quantity squared equals 11 plus 1 is 12 plus 4 is 16. So there's my equation in standard form. The question also asks for state the center and the radius. So my center in this form is going to be -1, -2. Radius is, this is r squared, so your radius is going to be 4. And then letter B, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and start by moving that 5 to the other side. As I rearrange, I'm going to go ahead and insert my blanks. So I'm going to combine some steps together. And again, running out of space, that's why they're on top of each other. So for my x's, I'm taking half of -4 and squaring it. For my y's, taking half of 8 and squaring it. And then from there I can just go ahead and combine. So I can factor my quadratic terms. So that gives me x minus 2 quantity squared plus y plus 4 quantity squared equals 5 plus 4 is 9 plus 16 is 25. My center for this is going to be at 2, -4. Radius is 5. All right. Graphing. Graphing a circle is ridiculously simple. Start by identifying your center. This is in standard form, so we can find the center. Your center is at 2, -4. This is r squared, so r is going to be 3. So I'm going to go ahead and plot my center, 2, -4. My radius is 3, so that means I'm going to go ahead and go up 3, down 3, to the right 3, and to the left 3. And these 4 points I'm going to go ahead and use and make a circle. Please make it nice and curvy. Do not just connect the dots. I don't want your circle to look like a diamond. So here's your circle. For letter B, this is not in standard form, so we're going to get it into standard form first. We're going to move the 5 over. So I have x squared minus 8x plus a blank plus y squared plus 10y plus a blank equals -5 plus a blank plus a blank. Running out of space. Take half of -8 and square it. Take half of 10 and square it. And then from there we need to factor this quadratic. So that leaves me with x minus 4 quantity squared plus y plus 5 quantity squared equals -5 plus 16 is 11 plus 25 is 36. And now that this is in standard form, we can figure out the your center. So that's going to be at 4, -5, and your radius is 6. So I'm going to go ahead and plot my center, 4, -5. My radius is 6, so I'm going to go ahead and go up 6, down 6. Of course, that doesn't fit on the graph, but that's not the end of the world. To the right 6, and to the left 6. And then I have my 4 points. I can go ahead and make it nice and curvy. And there is my circle. Hopefully your circles look a lot better than my circles. Alright, so recap, here's what we did with circles. We wrote equations for circles. To be able to write the equations, you need 2 pieces of information, your center and your radius. If you're not given your center and your radius, find the center and your radius, which is what you had to do for B, D, E, F, and G. And then example 2, we changed it to standard form, and the way that you did that was by completing the square. Example 3, we graphed. And to be able to graph, you need to know your center and your radius. Alright, that's it for circles. See you in class.